The king of the north!
I am the dragon's daughter.
By what right does the wolf judge the lion?
Hello, sweet summer children. Let me just say, the show is amazing. I love the show. The show is awesome. I'm never going to stop watching the show because I don't agree with an episode. So I call a spade a spade. I have to be honest. That's just who I am. As cinematically amazing as some aspects of this episode were to witness, some of it was just bad. Like on Dragonstone, Daenerys says Jon is too little for her. What is she talking about? I couldn't make sense of it. But anyway, we got to see some great action scenes and probably the best CGI you will ever see on television. I think I kind of appreciate the show for what it is. I don't expect it to be exactly like the books, but I do expect it to make sense, if that makes sense. So in this video, I'm going to break down the episode, pull out all the stops on the Easter eggs and the callbacks and what's really going on here. Firstly, my Twitter was blowing up with shots of Longclaw possibly being warged. Now, I looked at it and to me, it looks like water splashing onto the sword or just a shadow, but like Longclaw being warged by Bran would be way cooler, but I don't think that's the case. What do you guys think about that? So anyway, the episode started off with a shot from the preseason trailer of the painted table panning to the north. In the north, the Magnificent Seven are walking around talking crap. Tormund reminds Jon about what not bending the knee cost Mance, which was an echo of what Daenerys said in the cave and what Jon himself said to Mance in season 5. Gendry reminds the Brotherhood that they gave him to Melisandre to be their king's blood sacrifice. The Hound tells him basically to get over it. Jorah and Jon bond over Longclaw and their fathers. Jorah says, no, you keep Longclaw and give it to your children. This is the first Ice and Fire baby reference, and it's not the last in this episode, and mark my words, Jon and Daenerys will be having a child of ice and fire. So in Winterfell, Arya and Sansa are standing in the spot Ned and Catelyn were standing in season 1, episode 1. Arya is reminiscing on a memory of her father and starts to attack Sansa. She accuses Sansa of helping the Lannisters kill her father. Now, Sansa did tell Cersei of Ned's plans to leave King's Landing after he told her to tell no one. So she did go against what her father said, and she did run and tell Cersei, which started all of this in motion. But Sansa was a child, and she was very naive. She was a very naive child. The raven that Arya is reading is one Sansa sent to Robb, but it was not Sansa's own words, it was Cersei's words, and Sansa did think that she had to do that in order to save her father. So I'm an Arya fan, and this Arya to me isn't Arya. This is not how Arya feels about Sansa. Arya reflects on her family often in the books, even Sansa. She doesn't hate Sansa. She would never kill Sansa. She does, however, love Jon the most out of all of her siblings. And if she thinks Sansa is betraying Jon, then she will rough Sansa up a little bit. So I don't think they are playing Littlefinger at this point. I think they are really at odds with each other, but Bran can bring everything back into focus. See, what I think is Arya knows more about Littlefinger than she lets on, and I think that's the reason that Arya handles Sansa the way that she's been handling Sansa, and I also think that's the reason that Arya handed Sansa the cat's paw blade. She wants Sansa to recall who it belongs to and where it came from, or at least think about it, because I think Arya is already onto it. Sansa sends Brienne south, and I think it's just because Sansa fears to go to King's Landing herself. I don't think it's a part of a bigger plot or a bigger scheme. I just think Sansa doesn't want to go to King's Landing. When Sansa discovers Arya's bag of faces, it's kind of a laughable moment, but one of the faces, in my opinion, does look like Sam, and to me it's kind of a Feast for Crows callback, because in A Feast for Crows, Arya and Sam did meet up in Braavos. Of course, at that time, Arya was going by the name of Kat, and neither one of them know who exactly the other is. It's not Sam though, but it did remind me of that. In the trailer, Sansa says the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. And she hasn't said that yet in season 7. So it has to happen in episode 7. And she will probably say it to Arya and Bran. And the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives are words that Ned has previously said to Arya. So I don't fear for Arya's safety. I don't fear for Sansa's safety. I think Arya knows what's going on around her, and she's trying to get Sansa to see it. Tormund and the Hound were amazing together. I love them together. Tormund wants to make babies with Brienne, but Brienne is not going to be interested in him at all. He's not her type. She likes them pretty, like Renly and Jaime are her type. But anyway, if you watch my video where I talked about the leaks from season 7, episode 6, then you know I thought the plot was weird. Like, it's not a secret that I thought the whole White mission was stupid from the very beginning. And here's why it doesn't make sense to me. The White mission is to prove to the realm, but more so to Cersei, that the Whites are real, that the threat is real, that Grumpkins, Snarks, and White Walkers aren't just crib tales. They are real. But why? How can she help? Who will she help? She won't. And this whole thing being Tyrion's idea makes it even stupider, because Tyrion knows his sister very well. And Tyrion knows Cersei will never give up her hour in the sun for Grumpkins, Snarks, or White Walkers, or dragons, or anything else. She will die first. So it never made sense. But I totally get it for TV purposes. It makes good TV. The Gendry flying back to Eastwatch and the Raven getting to Dragonstone and Dany getting to Jon. It was weird, but I get it. It's TV. It's what they do. We knew going into this season it was going to be faster paced, but sometimes to me it just does feel rushed, and I want it to just slow down and let plots develop. So as I said in my previous video, I do think the Night King knew they were coming. I do think that he set a trap for them because of 3 things. The first thing being the chains that were used to lift Viserion out of the lake. I doubt the Night King has chains just laying around. Number 2, one White Walker just happened to be walking along all like la-di-da-di, la-di-la-di-da-di. And number 3, the location they were at, the frozen lake, with nowhere to run. But Viserion is killed, and I think maybe that's why I don't like the episode, because I'm mortified at the death of Viserion. But let's talk about some more Easter eggs. When Viserion dies, his brother lets out screams of pain. It was so heartbreaking. Drogon yelled out first, and then Rhaegal screamed out. And when Rhaegal screams out, Jon turns around like he senses the pain. He doesn't turn around until he hears Rhaegal, and I think that's just another Targaryen dragon bond reference. But before Dany leaves Dragonstone, her and Tyrion talk about children and who will be her successor. They talk about the line of succession, and he references Daenerys saying that she cannot have children, which is the second reference to an ice and fire baby. But back to Beyond the Wall. The mountain that's shaped like an arrowhead is where I think the White Walkers live, like underground or on the other side of the mountain, because this mountain is where the children turn the White Walkers, and these spokes or rock forms are seen encased in ice when Craster's son changed in season 4. So we will have to see what's on the other side of that mountain. But anyway, so Benjen comes up and saves Jon, but sacrifices himself even though he didn't need to, but he does. Like, I'm kind of wondering what happens to Benjen. He's already dead, so what happens next? Like, does he become full-on white? I don't know. So Dany and Jon have a moment on the ship, and clearly they're feeling each other. And the third reference to an ice and fire baby comes from Daenerys, when she says the dragons are the only children she will ever have. So maybe Viserion had to die because Dany and Jon are going to have a child, and only death pays for life, which kind of makes me flash back to when Daenerys went to the House of the Undying on the show. On the show, she goes beyond the wall, and while she's beyond the wall, she finds her husband and her son. So maybe that's what just happened to Daenerys. Maybe she just paid the blood price for her son. There was one more Easter egg, and that's when Jon and Daenerys get on the ship, the 2 Targaryen sails drop. Now, 2 Targaryen sails, there's 2 Targaryens on the ship, and 2 dragons left. I think that was all bringing it to full circle, those 2 Targaryen sails dropping on the ships. But I don't think the episode was garbage. Like, I wouldn't have wrote it like that. I'm not a writer. I enjoyed watching it. I don't hold the show writers to the same standard as George R.R. Martin, but it was a little weird. But I think what the show was trying to accomplish, which I did take from the episode, was there's turmoil in Winterfell. The White Walkers are a serious threat. Dragons aren't immortal. The realm will know of the existence of whites soon. Jon and Dany have eyes for each other, and Dany does what she wants no matter the cost. So I did think that the polar bear was cool, but I feel like the budget was spent on the polar bear. That budget could have been used on Ghost, because where's Ghost? Free Ghost. But whatever, what do I know? As always, thanks for watching. Like this video if you like it. Please click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell and join the Sweet Summer family. Okay, my sweet summer children. Have a good day.